Hey everyone, my name is Mario Simonian, the founding attorney of Esco, and today we're going to be talking about from zero to selling your Amazon business, what you wish your attorney had told you. Let's jump in. So a couple of things we're going to be talking about today as far as subjects. We'll cover business structure, IP, intellectual property, contracts, tax and compliance, privacy, products liability, policies and disputes, and exit strategy. Okay. So let's start in with your business structure. So most of the clients that we get are either set up as an LLC or corp. Very few of them will be a sole prop, right? And one thing I always suggest is talk to your CPA or talk to an attorney to find out which one works best for you. Because with a sole prop, you're not going to have limited liability where an LLC or a corporation will provide that. So talk to your attorney or CPA about that. Even with corporations, find out if a C corporation makes more sense for you or an S corporation. I can tell you for us, we're set up as an S corporation, but pretty soon we may expand that into also having a C corporation as part of our tax strategy. So make sure you talk to your CPA about that before you get started. One of the other questions we usually get is, should I set up an LLC or a corporation after I've started, once I see that my Amazon business is working out, or should I do it now? My suggestion is always do it now if you're already planning for it to be successful, which you should be, right? No one should go into business thinking, you know what, I have a feeling this isn't going to work. If you're thinking that, then don't even start the business yet. But once you've made that commitment that, you know what, this is something I'm going to do, then go ahead and get that LLC or corporation created. Something else you guys should be doing is trademark. So if you guys are doing private label, which I suggest everyone on Amazon does, then go ahead and get your trademark registered even before you start with any launch of a product. That's one of the first steps you guys should do. One of the reasons we have legal entity and registered trademark as the first two things is because these make up the foundation of your business. So this is something you want to do. Even if you haven't thought about a name, get with an attorney. They'll guide you in a direction as far as what the name should be, what the name can't be, because there are some terms and some words that you're not going to be able to get any trademark protection for. So make sure you talk to your attorney about that and get that completed. In addition to trademark, you should also look at copyrights and patents. Now, copyrights, when we're talking about the Amazon world, they'll usually cover things like your product photography that you get taken, that you'll have professionally done. And number two, any patents. If you've designed a product or if you've invented a product, then make sure you're talking to a patent attorney. A lot of clients will come to us and say, you know what, I didn't realize I could get a patent on this, but now I do. So talk to an attorney about that. Okay. And again, first two steps, corporation setup or LLC setup. Number two, your IP, starting with trademark. Next, contracts and agreements. As you guys sell on Amazon, you guys will be exposed to supplier contracts, distribution agreements, and really contracts and agreements with third-party service providers such as Amazon or Walmart or Shopify. A lot of people will just glance through this, and to a certain degree, there's not much you could do about it, right? And it's not like you could go negotiate with Amazon and say, hey, your business solutions agreement, point number 13, I don't know if I agree with that. Can we negotiate? Obviously, we don't really have much power. The real decision you have is to either take it or not take it. And if you're going to be selling on Amazon, you're going to have to take it. One thing you should know is reading it so you're familiar with it. The BSA is, I think it's about 10, 11 pages long, depending on, I guess, how you print it. But read through it, make sure you understand the important parts. And there is another video that we did about going over the BSA and important points. So that'll be included here in the comments or in the description. So check that out too. But make sure you're aware of it, of all the contracts and agreements that you're signing. And if you need help because you don't understand it, because you're not an attorney yourself, spend some money, invest some money, get with an attorney, have them review it. It's better that you spend and invest that money now with an attorney rather than having it haunt you later on down the road. Because down the road, it's always more expensive and more time consuming. So just keep that in mind. If you're getting any value from this video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. We do these videos once a month. And if we get enough people viewing these, we may even decide to do these once a week. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Next, tax and compliance, everyone's favorite topic. On the tax side, there's a few taxes that we're talking about, right? It could be income tax, also sales tax if you're in the Amazon world. Sales tax, Amazon has changed their policies now. They're in charge of it. But if you're also selling wholesale or if you're selling on Shopify, make sure that your sales tax structure is set up correctly. You've got a tax ID with a appropriate agency in your state or your county, and you make sure you're complying with those policies and with those rules. And then compliance, this goes back to sort of Amazon's policies, but also we're talking about getting with your CPA, getting with your tax attorney, your tax strategist to discuss what makes most sense for you. So just keep that in mind. And lastly, any duties that you guys have to pay, make sure those you understand before you're importing in products and make sure that you're paying those. And that's something that a freight forwarder would be able to help you with. I know when I used to sell, we would import things from China. Our freight forwarder was very, very helpful and would always help us understand and make sure we got those paid and making sure that those are taxes that we're paying and or we should be paying and nothing more. Privacy and data protection. The reason I put this in here is if you're doing any sort of wholesale or retail, just brick and mortar, there's certain information that you need to keep confidential. For example, if you have any credit card information from consumers, there's special rules and regulations for that. In addition to that, if you guys are selling in Europe, Europe has its own privacy and data protection rules. So make sure you guys are familiar with those and make sure you guys are complying with those. Product liability. There's not enough talk about product liability and what this could mean. But product liability really is if anyone that purchased your product is harmed, either they're personally harmed, or there's an injury, or their property is harmed. A couple years ago, there were people selling those scooters, battery power scooters, and there was a certain brand that would blow up. The batteries would blow up. So there was a lot of product liability issues that came up because of that. So one easy way you guys can protect yourself is make sure you guys have product liability insurance, which is now really required by Amazon and fairly cheap to get. Make sure you guys have that. And number two, if there's any certifications that the product you're importing requires, make sure you guys comply with that. For example, in the skin and beauty space, they may have certain certifications that they require. In the toys and baby toys section or category, certain certifications that are required over there. So make sure you guys are complying. And if you guys don't know if there's certifications, again, there's an attorney for that too. In addition to an attorney, there's consultants that can also help you understand what sort of certifications would be required. And Amazon has its own marketplace for you guys to look up any products that may need certain certifications or testing. Okay. Amazon seller policies. So earlier I mentioned Amazon's BSA, which stands for Business Solutions Agreement. In addition to that, they also have policies. So understanding those policies, very, very important. So make sure you guys block off half a day and just go through the policies. Amazon Seller Central, if you guys are in there, if you guys just search for seller policies, it'll give you a nice list of all of them. Whatever is relevant, go through it, make sure you understand it, that'll help a lot of issues that can come up, such as suspensions. In the Amazon world, you could either get your ASIN suspended or your entire account suspended. When we say ASIN, that's really your product listing. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I think Amazon has done a really good job of isolating problems and saying, you know what, this issue is ASIN related, so we're only going to suspend that ASIN, rather than what they were doing before, where even if it was an ASIN level issue, they would still suspend the entire account, which caused a real nightmare. So make sure you guys understand these policies. And as far as disputes, know what your rights are. One way that you guys can get a better idea of your rights is, number one, attending these calls. We go over what your rights are and what you're able to do to resolve issues with Amazon or other competitors on Amazon. Or number two, like I said, I know it's boring, but super important, go over the BSA. But just to give you guys a quick overview, so anytime you have a dispute with Amazon, you could handle it internally with their seller performance team, assuming that that's the department that's responsible for it. Number two, you could go ahead and file arbitration against them, or you could take them to small business court, small claims court. Small claims court, no one really does, because the damages there are limited to either 5,000 or 10,000, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. But a third option or a fourth option that we came up with is something we call synthetic arbitration. This is where we would go to Amazon's attorneys. These are the attorneys that represent Amazon in Seattle, Washington. It's a law firm, same law firm that would handle your arbitration, but we go to them pre-arbitration and we say, these are the facts, here are our demands. Let's get this resolved amongst ourselves so we don't have to spend or have our clients spend a lot of money and take this to arbitration. And that's one of our proprietary services that has been super successful for our clients. So just make sure what avenues you have for dispute resolution with Amazon. The exit strategy. Before you decide to list your product or your business on Amazon, please make sure you guys have all the financials in place, any policies and procedures, SOPs in place, but also have an understanding of how you're going to be selling it. Is it just one brand? Is it certain listings? Is it the entire corporation or entity? Two main ways you could sell a business, an Amazon business. One is going to be an asset purchase, where they just take whatever asset you have within the legal entity, such as a corporation, for example. The second way is they'll just buy your entire corporation and whatever comes with it. So make sure you understand what the pros and cons are. The difference between those two strategies will usually come down to tax and what your CPA advises. But I can tell you 98% of Amazon sellers will usually do an APA or an asset purchase agreement where they're selling only their assets. That way, any taxes that the corporation has, you as the seller are still responsible for, and any liability, product liability, you're still responsible for. But anything going forward, it would be the buyer. So make sure you understand how you want to sell. And something that a lot of people don't talk about is what's next. Something to think about. If you exit, what's next? I know for me, when I sold my two brands, I already had an idea of what I was going to do, and that was going to be law, right? And I knew it was something at the intersection of e-commerce and law, and that's really how Esto was born. But have an idea of what you're going to be doing next. Otherwise, it's so difficult when you're going 100 miles an hour one day to automatically stop and now have really nothing to do, no stress, no objectives, and really an empty agenda. So make sure you guys understand what you guys will be doing next after you guys do sell. Okay. So any questions about what we discussed, or if you guys need any help with intellectual property, so trademarks, copyrights, patents, or anything related to Amazon.com or Walmart.com, feel free to contact us and schedule a free consultation. And if you got any value from the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.